Hey everybody, it's Rob here. While we are having a lot of fun slaying demons on our mighty Barbarian, there is another class that is somewhat in shambles here. That is looking rather sad. And there's a new video here from Paragon. You might have known him from the last video that we checked out from him. And he has a pretty cool way of looking at these things. And definitely check out Paragon here. Big thumbs up. He made a video. Sorcerer will be the best class in Season 5, but only if
they remove every other class from the fucking game, because this class is just god-awful. It's been a week of the Season 5.
He's a T90, by the way. He dies in a T90, runs out of time, gets one shot.
PTR in D4 now, where I've tested as many builds as possible from all classes. To try and improve the game, obviously. No other reasons. Fine, I'm broke as shit and need that YouTube drip. Don't judge me. But in any way, when it was time for the Sorcerer, it became apparent just how shit this class truly is.
And he's playing the new and mighty Lightning Sorcerer with Chain Lightning. Relatable? I mean, I'm not really like that related, but I can feel the pain on so many sorcerers in the community. I've heard it in my stream time and time again. And I recently just started drafting my own tier list here and gave some feedback. And yeah, big surprise. The highest Sorc build is not S+, it's not S tier. Hell, it's not even A tier. Oh no, it's actually A tier. It's like the Fireball Sorcerer, and we already had that meta. So that's still one of the best classes. It's another season of basic skills, but Sorcerer not a single build in any of the two top tiers, unfortunately. Only with bugs.
And why do I even care? Well, damn, my man, it's probably the most fun class in the game, but I'm forced to avoid it like the fucking plague due to...
What I agree with is that Sorcerer feels the smoothest class to play. Obviously, in my opinion, Barb is the greatest class, but Sorcerer, especially if you are playing teleportation. I love the teleportation skill in Diablo 2 already. And the teleportation in Diablo 4 is just so smooth. And then, especially if you have like Flame Shield and like Freeze and Pixel Pull enemies, there's just something about the playstyle. And I played Sorc already in the beta of Diablo 4. And it used to be my second favorite class, because back in the days it was actually kind of strong. But now, yeah, Sorcerer needs definitely quite some help. But it still feels so good to play. And I don't think the current changes where they keep increasing the cooldown of teleport really help the Sorc class. It just makes it more clunky to teleport, basically. So let's see.
To how god-awful it is. But this is not going to be me ranting for an entire video. Rather, we'll discover what makes the Sorcerer class shit.
Or will it?
And what needs to happen to make it an actual class. And to understand the former, let's go back in time.
Oh, wow! Yes.
Give your meat a good old rub. That's it. Nice and hot. Hot.
There he is, man. There he is, my brother. Rick. He's trying to start his music career. There he is, my friends. Brother Rick.
Back to a simpler time. When dinosaurs roamed the earth and Bobby Kotick was doing Bobby Kotick stuff. Some call it Season 0. I simply call it the pre-Para gaming era.
Season 0, man. Back in the days, man. Before the big nerf. When, the meteorite hit the Diablo 4 server in Season 1 and they nerfed the fun. They nerfed the cooldowns. They nerfed crit. They nerfed vulnerable. They nerfed everything. There was like a big meteorite that killed the dinosaurs, that also killed the Diablo 4 player base. Back in the days, Season 1, guys. I was there all these years ago.
Then, Sorcerers was somewhat shit, but it was still dishing out some decent damage. The main issue back then was only dealing damage when enemies were crowd-controlled, meaning the class's main weakness was bossing. But I'd still say the class balance was better than it is today. Fast forward to Season 1. Also dogshit, but it didn't matter, as we didn't have any endgame.
And everybody was dogshit in Season 1, because they nerfed everything.
Season 2, even more dogshit.
Well, Sorcerer in Season 2, I don't agree. Sorcerer in Season 2 had ball... I don't know why he's zooming here, but they had Ball Lightning, and that was Abattoir of Zir next to the Hodabab. Literally, okay, after the Shred Druid, the top 3 of the strongest builds in the entire game. The big Ball Lightning Sorc.
But hey, Mr. Paragaming, wasn't that the time when Ball Lightning was dominating the entire game? Yeah, my man, but spoiler alert. It was due to it being bugged. Well,
yeah, okay, but that still counts. I mean, you know, like how many bugs? Hoda was also bugged, right? And they just, you know, at the end, they just call it a bug fix, but it ends up nerfing the entire build. And I mean, maybe it was a bug, maybe it was not a bug, and they just called it a bug. Like, who knows in the end, right? Because to me, Ball Lightning didn't feel like a bug, but yeah, I mean, obviously the developer can always say, oh, no, this was unintended to be strong, right? But they let it fly for the entire season, and the same for Hodabab, and then they nerfed it all.
Call it the Ball Fondler, because you'll be fondling more balls than you can handle. Ah, good times. Season 3. Probably the most dogshit the class has ever been, seeing as the Barbarians and Rogues just kept getting stronger, leaving the poor Sorcerers behind. But no endgame meant it barely made a difference. And then we have Season 4 and the 5 PTR. While Sorcerer does have some fun builds this season, they're all at least 20 tiers below the other classes.
I think a Chain Lightning does look like a lot of fun. 20 tier behind the other classes. I mean, I have at least collected some clears here, and I mean, Flame Barb is flying sky high, and like most of these S tier builds are going to do 150, and the Sorcerer maybe is lucky if they can clear 135. So yeah, 20 tiers behind, it seems about right. Which obviously should not be that way. Sorcerer is also allowed to have an S tier build, and I'm really hoping they are they're changing the bugs, fixing the bugs on Chain Lightning, and actually buffing the base build, like at least by a couple of multipliers in terms of damage.
Hit, with one exception, the Fire Kuna Immortal Shatter build. And spoiler alert again, this is also bugged and fixed in Season 5 and costs like 40 billion gold. Alright, so what do they actually have?
Everything.
Well, damn, Firebolt without the Shatter is doing pretty well. But there's a problem with that one as well. Yep, you are correct, my man. It's being absolutely gutted in Season 5. And it's also boring as shit. Staying immune with Flame Shield is gone. Ice Barrier...
And it's being gutted, but it still feels like the strongest build. Like, basic skills still reign supreme, especially with the new Shard of Aranthiel. And it's probably still going to be the best Sorc build, but that's not because it's that great. It's because all the other builds suck.
Is nerfed, and Blizz put a cap on the burning
But guys, there is still hope. We can still give feedback. We still have 4 more weeks before the new season starts. So every Sorc player and Sorc enjoyer out there, echo this message, give some feedback, tell on the forums, go to the PTRs, feedback forum, and you know, try to be constructive, and you know, talk about the problems that you see with the class, and maybe we'll get some better balancing and get the Sorc up there on a similar power level than the other builds.
Think legendary node, meaning we were doing less damage than all the other classes while...
Did he? Did he edit that? Burning Instinct. Your burning damage is increased by 10x of your crit damage multipliers. Current bonus minus 10%. It's gonna heal the monsters now, man. I feel very passionate about all these caps. In fact, I'm in the middle of compiling a lot of feedback here that I'm gonna make a separate video on, but I already started compiling feedback on these caps here. And I feel like the more caps we are getting in Diablo 4, the more it's capping the fun, and it's also capping the player's choice. You know, I totally agree, like some of these nodes need a cap, but we just gonna kill all the diversity. Eventually, everybody's gonna cap the res, cap the armor, I don't know, for Bar, for example, cap Berserking, cap Vulnerable, and then maybe we even gonna get a Gushing Wounds cap. I've always seen or heard some people, you know, talking about or calling for these kind of caps, and then as soon everybody's gonna play the same build, and everybody's just gonna be capped, and there's just gonna be a check mark to it, and I think that's like just killing the build diversity, and eventually everybody just reaches the same build. So I'm more like of a fan of like soft caps, diminishing returns or something. It just doesn't feel good to have these caps. And this happens with every class right now, and I think it's a major problem of the game.
All the other classes, while completely ignoring defensives and staying immortal, and still received a massive damage nerf. But now you're probably like, hey, Mr. Paragaming Big Dick Senpai, I'm rocking a sorcerer.
Big Dick
I'm level
Senpai.
69 and it's feeling amazing. Yep, I completely agree with you on that one.
Level 69.
So let's pull out my old sorcerer out of retirement and see where everything is going wrong.
Oh my god.
Let's start with the aspects and uniques.
This guy's so
Nothing wrong here, really, and they've got a bunch of cool and interesting ones. While still relying on staggering enemies, we have been getting more and more generic damage, boosting ones which are great. So nothing wrong here.
Why is his Sorc bald, dude?
Right, what about the skill tree then? Well, considering these are spread between cold, fire, and lightning, they're slightly more...
Mr. Big Dick Senpai went bald, man.
Considering these are spread between cold, fire, and lightning, they're slightly more difficult to use for Big Damn, but some of them are still quite decent. And then we end up in the key passives. This is where it turns to shit. Because all of these are just god-awful compared to a rogue or barbarian, for example.
That's true.
With the main issue being that
Like
we
on
have...
Barb, basically every passive is at least a 1.5x multiplier, and I think similar on Rogue. And on Sorc, yeah, I don't even know what you're getting, you know? Like on some of these, like I played some Sorc, but like I never played anything else but pretty much Shatter and one of the fire passives that was bugged. And also applied to lightning. I think it was Esu.
have absolutely nothing to scale. None of these scale with better gear, meaning there's a cap in how much damage we can deal.
And a cap in how much fun you can have on the class.
They're also complete trash. Let's compare these with the Barbarian, for example. Unconstrained and
The hair burned off.
unbridled rage already does 3 to 5 times the damage of all the Sorcerer passives. And Gushing Wounds is
That's true.
uncapped, meaning we can scale it to the fucking moon.
To the moon.
Same with Rogue. All uncapped passives, and we can scale them infinitely. Necro and Druid are trash though, except the Boner one. And will you look at that?
Also uncapped.
It's the best Necro build in the game. But that's a topic for another day.
I think they should keep these passives uncapped. I also don't think they should add more caps to the game. Just make them diminishing return. The more you have, the less efficient it is. But for God's sake, man, just like allow us to like build the character the way we want and not like the way Blizzard tells us to. You know, just reach this cap, just reach that cap, and everybody will have the same build eventually. It's boring.
Anyhow, that's the main issue. Let's check them out one by one. Avalanche dishes out a bit of extra damage, which is good, but it's completely reliant on lucky hit, meaning you're not actually getting the 60% extra damage here. Shatter is currently great as it double dips and can offset chain reactions for some.
So actually, from what I heard, Shatter still double dips on the PTR, and it's still pretty strong. But again, that's just a bug. So
massive nukes.
I don't know.
But using this, you're forced to fight only bosses with ads,
And you can't kill any single target guy with this, so you're fucked.
seeing as nothing otherwise explodes. Except Arnie, perhaps. If you know, you know. Overflowing energy is insanely cool. I absolutely love this one, but it doesn't boost our damage. And we need some damage, man. Via's mastery is just pathetic. 20 to 25%.
And they did rework this one, right? Is this a new one? So close enemies take 20x from your shock skills and deal 20 less damage. Yeah, if like I don't know, it would scale with like every time you do a crit or something, the bonus is increased, and then like, you know, the more crits you do, the more the bonus stacks up. You know, like I don't know, make it 1%, but make it increase for every crit, and you know, Sorcerer can crit a lot. So you do 1,000 crits, you get 1,000% damage. You know, like that would be fun, or you know, something along those lines. Like it doesn't have to be that, but that would be an option.
Damage? Come on, man. Critical strikes should increase these to 225%, and then we can talk.
Yeah, or that.
ESU's ferocity is probably the worst of the bunch. 25% crit damage against high health enemies is decent. But then again, it would need to be 5 times this at least.
Nah,
And the
okay.
critical strike chance is
Maybe
basically
double.
worse than a crit chance affix. Combustion. Oh man, I barely know where to start. You can probably buff the unique source of burning by 10 times, and then it could become decent. The passives are all insanely cool, but they're just weak. This would not be an issue at all if we had a great
I I remember they reworked all the passives on Barb at some point, with the exception of the Unbridled Rage, and I think that was great. I think they should give this the Sorc treatment and rework and buff every key passive.
Paragon board. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Sorcerers has the most lackluster paragons out of all classes and needs a massive overhaul. All the legendary nodes are also split between fire, lightning, and cold, meaning there's no reason to pick up more than a few of them. And the ones that could have been decent, such as searing heat, are capped at 30%. Now, there's supposedly coming huge Paragon updates in the expansion, and I therefore think that the Sorcerer Paragons are doomed until then. So my solution, fix the goddamn key passives, man.
Yeah, I agree with a lot that he is saying here. That's definitely good. Like, buff the key passives, Paragon board is going to get a rework in the expansion probably. And, yeah, maybe also, you know, change some of the... Actually, I guess the aspect on Sorc seem mostly fine. Is much of this stuff comes down to the key passives. I agree with that, actually. The more I think about it. I mean, I played Sorc last season quite a bit, and the season before. I played a lot of Ball Lightning with Ball Arena, if you guys remember. And I actually had a lot of fun on the Sorc, but that was when Sorc had a strong build with Ball Lightning. And it's been in the shitter ever since, basically, since that build got nerfed.
Combustion should be 4% extra.
Obviously, with the exception of some, you know, insanely busted and broken bugged builds.
Or something. Same with the other ones. And if you don't want to do this, then just quadruple their damage and we may get them to the Barb level. And if we head on over to the Paragons, please stop capping all the legendary nodes.
Yes.
This is insanely boring. And there are only 2
100%.
ways for you to do this. Either you cap every legendary node in the game, or you simply stop capping them. There's also no point in making the legendary nodes so insanely specific. The Rogues also has 3 elements: Shadow, Poison, and Cold. This is, however, solved by granting generic legendary nodes, along with more specific glyphs instead. Or just the Eldritch Bounty node, granting
or just have some bugged one with the exploit weakness that just one-shots absolutely everything. But yeah, looking at my tier list again, I also think that the Rogue is in a very good spot now if you're comparing it to Rogue and Barb. Like, Rogue has 3 very strong S-tier builds by the looks of it, and they're probably going to get a couple more. The Andariel has been amazing. There's also some potential for an Andariel Sorc at some point. We'll have to see. I think I put it in like B tier with Andariel Sorc. Gonna be working on this tier list more the next days. But definitely has some potential to be an okay build, and if they decide to move all the to buff all the key passives, like, I hope that all these Sorc builds will at least move up the tier list by at least 1 tier. So we have actually some S tier builds. And obviously then buff Chain Lightning on top of this and fix the bugs. That would be great.
Damage depending on what you dealt damage with. A solid solution. Alright, so is there any hope for Sorcerers in Season 5? Well, the splintering energy aspect is looking decent only due to it being uncapped, but it has the issue of being great in AoE mainly.
Yeah.
Arc Lash.
Like, Sorcerer always seems to have this problem that they can't kill the boss. They had this back in the seasons where they only did damage to when the boss was staggered, right? So, like, in Season 1 and on launch, like, you only did damage to a single target on Sorc if it was staggered, because you have all this, like, you know, extra damage to crowd-controlled enemies and extra damage when they are, like, I don't know, like, stunned or frozen or whatever. And you don't really deal any damage to the boss when he's just in his normal state. So the longer the fight is, the harder it is to stagger the boss, and so you'll never actually deal any significant damage.
Mainly. Arc Lash.
And then obviously Shatter is improving that problem.
Is decent due to the new unique.
S plus or bust. Yeah, I mean, they should definitely buff the key passives. How do you feel about that, Mekuna? Let me know in the chat here. I think he has a very good point with the key passives being extremely underwhelming.
But then you may as well just play a Barb with the same items and deal 50 times the damage. So in summary, the key passives are shit, the Paragons are shit, and Sorcerer needs a massive buff here. Let me know what else you would like to see, and I'll see you in the next one.
This guy's editing is so on point, boys. What? Well, thanks, man, for this one. Does not look like a German Barbarian. Yo, that's the video here from Paragon, guys. Leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment, man. What a guy. The editing, top notch, man. On freaking point. But yeah, I agree with many of the things that he had to say. And that was a nice little Easter egg. I specifically like the part where he went back in time to the dinosaur age. But he missed a good pun, man, with the meteorite that killed the dinosaurs. Was the great nerf patch that killed the Diablo 4 player base in Season 1. When they nerfed everything. But yeah, Sorcerer needs some help, guys. Share the video, share Para's video, check it out. And maybe also leave some feedback on the forums, guys. Because with us, we still have 4 weeks left. If we can raise some awareness of these issues at Blizzard, I think there's a good chance that they're gonna hear it and they're gonna listen to some of it at least and implement some of it. And maybe we'll have a more balanced class here, class balance in general for Season 5. I hope you enjoyed the video, my friends. Check out Para and I'll see you soon. GG. Like, what's the OG video? Wie was this one?
Anhören mit von der Partie die Woodies.
Die Woodies. This is the OG, man. I was there all these years ago. No. I see no difference. Corporate needs you to find the difference between these two pictures. They are the same picture. Oh, dude. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a like or a comment. I'm also live on Twitch almost every day, so come and say hi.